Yesterday we mostly focused on various types of structures. Predominantly we focused on for loop and while loop. These are the two most commonly used structures in LabVIEW. Most of the programs will either have a for loop or a while loop in it. There are other types of structures as well. One of them which is very handy is a case structure. In text-based languages also we have case structures. Say for example, I have more than one or two cases that can happen. Then case structure is the way to go. So here you can see there is a case structure. It is similar to dragging, dropping a for loop or a while loop. You do exactly the same procedure. Only one thing different about the case structure is that it has a small question mark like symbol on its left hand border. So you are supposed to wire something to it. Which case that you want to execute is to be wired to that question mark. If you don't wire anything, it will give you an error. The code will not compile, it will give you something needs to be wired to that. Now what all can you wire? The basic, most simple one is a Boolean control. That is true or false. So if you know if you have only two cases, you can use a Boolean control or a true or false thing. Do this or do that. Only two cases. Say for example, I have more than two cases, then I can also give it a string control. So whatever input, say for example, if you have different names. So if I enter my name, it will search if that case is available in it or not. If it is available, it will go into that case. If it is not available, then it will go into the default case. And whatever the code into that case is written is going to be executed. So for example, if I use a string control, I can add A, B, C, D, n number of cases. Okay, so case 1, that is case A, case B, case C, and whatever code I write into that case, that code or that particular case only will be executed during that iteration. Okay, so it's like placing a deck of cards on one top of another. You change the cases and your code is going to change as per that case. I will show you an example of it in a short way. Similarly, I can also add a numeric control to it. So ideally, a case structure can have infinite number of cases. But of course, we cannot have infinite number of cases. It's physically impossible to do that. So whenever the case that you give to it is not available, it will run a default case. Okay. So now we will go into the LabVIEW environment. Please open your LabVIEWs and we'll see what exactly and how exactly the case structure executes. Okay, so open a blank React. Again, on the block diagram, in the structures submenu, you will find the case structure. Just drag and drop it similar to the while or for loop. Now here you can see a question mark symbol, and by default it has two cases, true and false. You can use the left and right arrows to swipe between the cases. So let's add a Boolean input here. So now this Boolean input has either true or false. I will wire the output of this Boolean to the question mark input. See, now the broken arrow was fixed. If I delete this wire, there is no input to the question mark box and it is going to show me a broken arrow. If I run this, it will show me case structure, unwire selector. That question mark is the selector. Which case you want to select. So now I wire this again. The question mark got fixed, the error was solved. So now whichever, here from the front panel, whichever case comes in is going to be executed. Okay, so we'll perform a small experiment. I will create a numeric indicator Okay, and I will place it on the right hand side outside the case structure. Outside the case structure. I will create a numeric constant. And I will place it inside the true case. Okay. So now let's say I give it 100 value right now. Inside the true case. I will go into the false case. I will create another constant over here and I will say 200. So now depending upon which case is going to be executed, this numeric will have that value. Let's highlight execution and I will show you. Okay, so now this boolean is going to give me false because it is off right now. So if I run, the false case is going to be executed. So here false came out, it went into the false case and 200 was sent to the numeric. And now I can here see 200. So for example, now if I turn this on.
You're going too fast.
Yeah, I will give you time to do yourself also. Just see the screen for now. You don't need to follow as of now. So now if I press this switch, now I know it is going to give me true value. Now I will run the code. Now it will go into the true case and 100 was given to the numeric and I could see 100 in the front panel. Okay, so now you understood which case and how it went into those cases. Now try doing it yourself.
Please repeat, you went too fast.
Can you do this? Looking at the screen? Or I will repeat? I will repeat. Okay, first of all, after creating a blank VI, just drag and drop the case structure.
Yes.
Please raise your hand if someone is not able to do that. Case structure? Case structure Okay, so you will observe that the case structure by default has only two cases, true and false. Now go to the front panel and place a boolean switch, on and off switch. Everyone with me till now? Okay, so you will see the boolean switch appearing in my code. Now wire its output to the selector terminal. Okay, done so far? No issues? Okay. Now create a numeric indicator on the front panel. Indicator. Done so far? Okay. Now place it somewhere on the right hand side. As you know, LabVIEW executes from left to right. So place it on the right hand side of the case structure. Now an easy way to create a constant is to just right click on the input and create constant. So right click on the input of the numeric and then you will have create constant. So it will create a constant. Now place one constant into the true case, give some arbitrary value, follow that same procedure by going into the false case. From here I can go to the false case. Sorry? Constant on the numeric input, numeric indicator input, right click and create constant. Here right click and create constant. School So I guess most of you were able to do now. Follow. Try and see how the code works by using highlight execution. You will be able to understand how it works much more properly. 100 hours. You can also try continuous run. I told you on the first day. Try continuous run so that you can easily see the values changing. I will show you on the screen. I am running my code continuously. Right now, true output is coming of this, so true case is getting executed. Now if I turn this off, false is going to come out of this and false case was executed. Everybody with me so far? Any doubts? Case structure is going to be important in the next one or two exercises. So please let me know if you have any doubts right now. Save this as case structure VI. So now what we are going to do is perform either addition or subtraction based upon the input that user is going to select from the front panel. Okay. Under Boolean section you will find the horizontal flip switch. Use that and use the case structure that we just created to either add or subtract, whichever the user wants. Okay, this is your exercise. I have written small steps for your reference. You can refer that. You can use horizontal toggle switch also. The name might differ from version to version. Mine might say different, a little bit different. Yes, you can use this also. It is either way going to give you true or false. So that's what we do. Okay. So if you want to create a label, you just double click anywhere in the block diagram and type to create a label. I will show you. So this is my block front panel. I have double clicked here. You can see a small cursor appearing, similar to something that we do in Word. Now if I type anything and then click somewhere else, this label is now created. I can now move it. So now I have two labels now. Okay, easy enough? You can use the horizontal toggle switch also, or any boolean switch will also do. The toggle switch is going to create a much better effect. That is why I have told you to use toggle switch. Another helpful hint, place addition in one case structure, one case, say for example true, and then place subtraction in the remaining case. You don't have to wire the toggle switch directly to the addition. You have to use the toggle switch to switch cases, just like we did right now. Of course, how will you show them your work? Remember, we also did an addition program in the beginning on the first day. So yes, we have to do similar to that.
So it's working.
steps are just for your reference. They might not be 100% explanative. It's expected that by now you should be able to perform or think on your own on how to perform simple tasks. Yes. False case. Right. False case is wire thing. First input. So numeric 1 minus numeric 2 is another way. So wire thing. Similar. It is all active. Similarly, wire. Okay, the same answer. Wire. Now, go into case. त्याला पण द्यावे लागते का दोन्ही? So numeric 1 चं तुम्ही दिलं already. म्हणजे याच्याकडून numeric 2 चं जोडा. नाही तसं तुम्ही याच्यावरती घ्या. वायर स्कूल आला की ड्रॅग केला. वायर स्कूल याच्यावरती ड्रॅग केला नाही. साईडला क्लिक करा कुठेतरी. क्लिक केलं. आता स्कूल येऊ दे. स्कूल आला की आता नाव येऊ ड्रॅग. See, code पण कंबाईन झालं. There are no results. म्हणजे वरती तुमचा ब्रोकन आरो गेला ना लगेच. ब्रोकन आरो गेला म्हणजे ऍटलीस्ट सिंटॅक्स एरर नाही. लॉजिकल एरर्स कॅन स्टिल बी देयर.
त्याच्यामध्ये लास्ट याच्यामध्ये आपण कॉन्स्टंट यूज करतो किंवा कॉन्स्टंट.
हां.
हे आता ऍड
आणि सबट्रॅक्ट तुम्ही नोट्स घ्यायचे.
ऍडिशन
Yes.
सबट्रॅक्शन
Yes.
व्हॅल्यू द्यायची.
Yes, values देऊन
व्हॅल्यू
व्हॅल्यूज द्यायचे. नाही, आधी केस स्ट्रक्चर आधीचं कसं तुम्ही केलं होतं आधीच्या याच्यामध्ये आपण आत्ताचं परफॉर्म केलं. ओके ओके ओके. सो केस स्ट्रक्चर आता दाखवून द्यावं माझ्याकडे.
ऍडिशनल सबट्रॅक्शनसाठी काय लावायचं?
दाखवतो मी आता. Okay, so many of you were able to do it, but there are a few who are facing problems. So I will do it myself. You try to follow me on the screen, but I am going to be a bit faster because we have to cover other things as well. So again, see right now my true or false case structure is already available, so I am just going to use it. Okay, so now my case structure is available to me depending upon add or subtract whatever I put. Say for example this is add. I will replace this with a horizontal flip switch. Okay, so this side is add. Maybe this side is subtract. So now I go into my code. In the false case, I place add. I create two inputs. Input A, input B. I place them outside the case structure right now because I don't need to execute it. Inside the case structure, outside is going to be there, and I will wire the result. Similarly, I go in true case now. Under numeric, I will place subtract, wire these, and then wire its output. So now my program is ready. So let's test it out. So my A is suppose 10 and B is 15. So now right now it's add. So it should go into add case. Now it's 25. The result is 25. Now we'll go to subtract. Now here you can see subtract is being executed. So 10 minus 15 is minus 5. If I press add, here it will go into the false case and then it will perform addition. Okay? Simple enough? Now I hope everybody was able to do this. Is there anyone who hasn't done this?
I made some mistakes on this.
There is a broken wire. Now it should run again properly.
Case and false case, we have to define addition and subtraction.
Yes.
Change position to numeric pattern.
Just that. कर्सर थोड़ा सा anything that is logical comes in block diagram. कोड आहे तो आणि whichever either control so input घ्यायचा user कडचा तो किंवा user ला आउटपुट द्यायचं असेल तर पण पाठवून फ्रंट जे user ला दिसायला पाहिजे ते सगळं फ्रंट पाठवून मग ते इनपुट असू दे तर आउटपुट असू दे लॉजिक जे असणार आहे ते सगळं बॅक एंडला असणार आहे
सर ये इसका क्या है जो आपने साइड स्विच लिया है उसका क्या ये डिफरेंट हो रहा है
बिटवीन द स्विच हे केसेस आपण स्विच करायला वापरतोय ना ऍड सबट्रॅक्ट हायलाइट एक्झिक्युशन करून बघा हायलाइट एक्झिक्युशन करून बघा ओके सो वी आर गोइंग टू प्रोसीड नाउ सेव दिस एक्सपेरिमेंट अगेन फॉर की स्ट्रक्चर 2 Okay, so this was the structure. Now we'll see another type of structure which is fairly simple. Another one is a sequence structure. Say if you want a few steps to be done sequentially, then sequence structure is used. It's pretty simple to understand. There are a few frames. The first frame code executes first, second frame code executes next, and then the third one. You can have n number of frames, but usually it's used only for 2 or 3 sequential steps. If you have more than that, there are complex architectures available in LabVIEW which are much more efficient memory-wise and execution control-wise. I will quickly show you. Again, I will create a new blank VI. In the code again in structures, you will see a flat sequence.
Simultaneously with you or will
You can follow this. This is pretty easy. And then just drag and drop similar to for loop. Now you have one frame ready over here. You can right click on the left hand side or the right hand side border and just select add frame before. So you have another frame. You can expand that. Now whatever code I write in the first frame is going to be executed first, and then whatever I do in the second frame is going to be executed second. If I want to add one more frame, add a frame, say after. Now I have 3 frames. Okay, I will show you again. Just see once and then you can do it on your own. Right click, structures, flat switch. Okay, similar to for and while loop, you just draw it. Now one frame is ready. Click either on the left or right hand side of the frame and then just click add frame before or add frame after. You can add frames and then you can use whatever code you want to execute sequentially. Now just do a quick hands-on. You are free to execute any type of code in frames. Just try and understand how it works. I will give you a few minutes to do that. There is no particular task or action on this one from my side. You are free to do whatever you want in the frame structure. Right now, your requirement is very simple, but in complex architectures, this might not be the case. That is why it is required. It's not commonly used, but in some cases, it might require.
We can stop the sequence frame 1, then we can start the frame 1, then we can stop the. Likewise, also we can.
You cannot control frame by frame. LabVIEW controls frame by frame. Once you run your code, it is going to execute one frame after another. Yes. The frame that you see on the screen is just as a sample placer. You may not have all the sub-VIs, like for example, you may not have the tag assistant. So don't try to follow this, create on your own. Not necessary. You can have a parallel code, separate code in frame 2 also.
But is it possible to view the output of first
Yes,
phase
it is
to the next
possible.
one?
Yes, it is possible as you see on the screen. It is possible. You don't follow this. This is also for sample purposes. You may not have the exact thing. You can do your own code. There is no task from my side. I'm just missing one thing. That is also okay. Nothing will execute. It is not going to be synchronized. It is going to be first this way, it will be then this way. For the logic in this way, they will first and then try to use highlight execution mode while running so that you understand how your code works. guess sequence structure was fairly easy to understand. Let's move on. So again, one of the complicated structures for programming with respect to LabVIEW is event-based structure. So typically a for loop or a while loop is going to run on its own. So this causes the processor or your hardware to give maximum resources for that while loop. In complicated systems, that might not be the case and it might create problems. So if you want to efficiently use your memory, especially if RAM is low, event structures are used. So whatever event or whenever that particular event occurs, then only that code is going to execute. Similar to interrupts. Otherwise, that code is not going to be executed. So for those purposes, event structure is used. So whenever that event occurs, then only that code is executed. Otherwise, it is not executed. Event structure does not work on its own. You have to place it inside a while loop. If you can see here, there is a while loop running, and then inside that, I have placed my event structure. So whatever event inside this case structure, when that event occurs, then only this while loop is going to execute. Normally, yesterday we saw whatever code we wrote inside the while loop and you press run, it went on running. So that causes the program to occupy the resources of your hardware. In complex systems, you have to be very careful about this, because maybe a system is running for 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 months. A RAM gets on getting filled and then the system crashes. So in those cases, here event structure is not going to hog your processor resources. It is going to run only when that event occurs. Otherwise, it is going to sit idle. It is not going to take any of your resources. Okay, so I will show you a short example. I will try to be slow. This is a bit complicated, so try to follow as much as possible. Again, create a blank VI. Now similarly under structures, first you have to place a while loop. Then again go to structures, place a event structure inside it. Please make sure the event structure is inside your while loop. Okay. So now I am going to create one indicator on the front panel and name it iteration count. Okay, wire the iteration count to the iteration terminal of the while loop.
We'll do it afterwards, maybe first.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay, everybody with me so far? Just create a numeric indicator on the front panel, place it inside the while loop and wire the iteration terminal output to this indicator. Okay. Now since we have used the while loop, we know that we need a stop or some kind of a conditional terminal input to the while loop. So I'm going to create a stop button as well on the front panel. So you see the stop button right now, I am placing it inside the event structure. Now wire the output of the stop button to the conditional terminal of while loop. me so far? Okay, place a stop button on the front panel. You will see it appear on the block diagram as well. Place that stop button inside the event structure and wire its output to the stop terminal here, conditional terminal of the while loop. Okay, any problems so far? Okay. So now I need to add event, or I need to tell what event I want to be recognized by this event structure. So for that, right click anywhere on the frame of the event structure you created. You will see a bunch of options appearing. One of them will be edit events handled by this case. Can you see that? Click on it, a small pop-up will open. Now here, you will select stop button. So this is my event source. So which source you want to monitor? I right now want to monitor my stop button, so I have selected stop. And what are my options? Like what event needs to occur with this stop button? Its value change. So when I press this stop button, its value is going to change. Right? So once this value changes, I need that iteration or the while loop to stop. So I have used stop button and here I have used value change. There are many other options available here like key down, repeat, or so far if you want key inputs, keyboard inputs, you can do that as well. Right now we are going to keep it simple. We are going to use stop button and then use value change. The other things are a bit complicated. We are not going to cover them right now because those are not required as of now. So just use value change and then press OK. Fair enough? Everybody with me? Great. So now if I run, you will see the iteration count hasn't changed for the while loop because it is not running, it ran only once. Because while loop runs only once and 0 came out of it. Now when I press stop, it will stop. This is a much more efficient way of programming, especially when you have a bit complicated code. Now if I remove the event structure, just right click and remove event structure will be available to you. Now if I run this, you will see the iteration count. See, the iteration count goes on increasing continuously. So the while loop was iterating because there was no condition given to it. It ordered all my processor resources. Especially if it is a battery operated instrument, it is going to drain my battery. Right? So here event structure comes in handy and I can control various aspects of my programming. So that is the event structure. Save this as event structure. So next is arrays. So you all must be knowing since we are all from technical background, but arrays is a collection of same type of element, right? It is the same concept in LabVIEW. It is a collection of same type of element. It can be numeric, it can be boolean, or it can be a string. But it is the same type. You cannot have boolean and other combinations in one type of array. If that is the case, then it becomes a cluster in LabVIEW. So array is collection of same data type or same type of elements. It can be one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, or an array of arrays, a three-dimensional array. So we are going to create a single-dimensional array now. So open a blank React. Again, I will show you with example. Follow me. two structures and place a for loop. Now to the end terminal of the for loop, create a constant and say I want to give it 10 so that it will iterate 10 times. Okay? Now right click anywhere in the block diagram, go to numeric and you will see a random number. Place it inside my for loop. If you are not able to find that random, you can search. This is a random number generator. It generates random numbers.